Right, so before we break again and for some food and drink, I'm just going to do my regular bit of Smart Sheffield news. So this is not food related, but just things that have kind of come across my radar over the last couple of months. And there hasn't actually been that much going on. Do spread the word and email me if there's news and things that you want me to kind of put in this segment. The big thing that's happened in the last, one of the biggest things that's happened in quite a long time actually, but it happened last week, was that Amey and Streets Ahead, alongside Sheffield City Council, announced their new sensor network and urban operations centre. So Amey, or Streets Ahead, which is a 25-year PFI contract with the City Council to manage all of our roads and streets and street trees. I'm sure you're all aware of some of the frictions between Amey and the citizens of Sheffield and the council. It seems like they've put a lot of that behind them, and they've actually started looking at ways of driving better value into that long-term contract. One of the reasons they set that contract up in the first place to be such a long contract, and it's the longest PFI contract in the UK, was that there should be opportunities to introduce new technologies to reduce the cost of some of these operations. And I assume it's still the case. When I interviewed the head of Streets Ahead about this before the contract started in 2014, there was a clause in the contract whereby any cost savings made was split 50-50 between Amey and the City Council. So there was a sort of joint incentive to figure out ways of delivering the same or a better service for less money. And one of the ways you can do that is by understanding more about what's going on in the city. So which bins need emptying, which grit bins are full and empty, how efficient your drainage system, your street drainage system is, where traffic's flowing, all these kind of things. So they have, and essentially, as I understand it, Amey has implemented a very dense Internet of Things sensor network across the city. It's already started implementing that in order to measure those things that it has particular sets of KPIs for in terms of maintaining and improving in the city. They're feeding that data into a control centre where they've got dashboards and can see and can direct remedial action to this stuff. So I'm hoping to get the people that are setting that up on a future edition of Smart Sheffield, ideally the next one, so we can ask them some questions about how open that network is, how much of that data is going to be made available to other stakeholders within the city, and what else can be done with the sensor network. That's big news. The other thing, so we've launched this recently at Sheffield Digital. We used to have a map showing as many of the companies, technology companies in the city as we were aware of. We've now replaced that map with a much better one. It's much, I should really show it. I'll bring it up after the talk actually, and you'll see what it looks like. But we're basically tracking technology companies, startups, coffee shops and places to hang out, co-working spaces, and we're looking particularly at the digital learning cluster across Sheffield and the wider city region. So if you go and have a look at the map, use it to kind of get a sense of how many technology companies there are. We're also connecting it with companies' house data internally. You can't actually see that on the map, but internally we are, where we're looking to get a kind of an understanding of how old our digital ecosystem is really. Like, what the average age of companies is, or how many companies we've got that are, say, younger than 5 years old, for example. And then if we can connect that also with headcount data and growth data, we can see which companies are growing and kind of map a growth trajectory of it. So that's all part of kind of the economic development work that we're doing in conjunction with city growth and Sheffield City region. But it's there, it's an open map for people to look at. If you spot anything that should be changed, email us, info@sheffield.digital, and tell us to change it, and we'll update it. Finally, I guess there was a meeting of the Things Network Sheffield before this meeting. If you aren't aware, Things Network is a community-based Internet of Things network where you can buy relatively cheap gateways that you can connect to power and backhaul, so the internet, and each of those gateways can serve up to 20,000 sensors out in the environment, so it can exchange information with up to 20,000 sensors per gateway at quite long distances. And there are 14 gateways currently active around Sheffield. Sheffield University, the Urban Flows Observatory, in conjunction with Pitchin, are deploying another 7 or 8 gateways into the city in various locations over the next month or so. So by the end of March, there'll be a really pretty comprehensive Internet of Things network that anybody can use for free. So we heard about this earlier. I think Gareth mentioned the Things Network, free Things Network connectivity for the Water Elf device. Basically, if you have anything that you need to sense out in the environment, so this is the equivalent to Amey Streets Ahead's sensor network for measuring, the contents of grip bins. They have a commercial private network that they run. We have an equivalent free network that is there for everybody to use. And you can build, really small sensors that run off, a couple of AA batteries or a button battery, or even leach energy from solar or whatever, for less than 50 quid for a sensor, and connect it to a network for free and start compiling and analysing data off the back of it. So it's a platform that's there. If you want to get involved in it, there's people that were here for the meeting earlier. We try and meet every month, either before this meetup or before the IoT Sheffield meetup that happens at the Dymond building. There's a group of people that are coming together to continually prototype new applications using this network, and if you want to get involved in that. And it's not just for technologists, we want all sorts of different people involved in it. So product designers, artists, data ethicists, if you can contribute, and there's a lot of different ways in which you can contribute, please get involved in that. There should be another IoT Sheffield meetup in April. I'm not sure exactly when the date is. Second? Thursday the 2nd, okay, great. Should add that in. These are also a set of some more geeky than others events that are going on in Sheffield over the next month. I'll leave that slide up so you can see anything else that you want to get involved with. On that note, I'm going to say thank you very much for coming to Sheffield, for Smart Sheffield. Are you taking a photo?
Is that possible?
Yeah, of course. Oh, of that, yeah. Yeah. Not me, I was just standing in front of you. Thanks very much.